Hello guys and welcome to another video. One of the most asked questions that I get is how did I get into the Percy Jackson fandom? How did I find the books? Did a friend recommend them? Did I watch the movies first? Why am I so involved in the fandom? Why did I start my YouTube channel? So today we are having a bit of a story time video and I'm gonna answer all of those questions here and now so I can finally stop getting that question in my future Q&As. Even with making this video, I am definitely getting that question, but I'm still making this video so I can just be like, oh, I've answered this before, video linked up there. So without further ado, let's get into the video. For this video, I'm gonna have to start at the very beginning. When I watched the Percy Jackson movie in theaters, I hadn't read the books. I honestly didn't even know that the movie was an adaptation of some books. So I went to watch the movie and I remember perfectly that I watched it with my sister. I sat right next to her, and in the opening scene when Logan Norman is at the bottom of the pool, I whispered to her, he's kind of cute, and she was like, I can't really see it. But then throughout the rest of the movie, when he's not underwater, she was like, oh, I can see it now. Logan Lerman is super cute. That's all of the impression it made on me, that Logan Lerman was cute underwater and that it was a fun movie and that I wanted to have water-based powers. So I just went home and I never thought about that movie ever again. Unbeknownst to me, my sister went home and actually purchased the whole series in Spanish, and she read it and she loved it. But since me and my sister weren't really friends back then and we didn't talk about books at all, I didn't even know that she had the books. Flash forward 5 to 6 years. I'm in 8th grade, I watched The Hunger Games in theaters with my best friend McKenna, and then I wanted to read the books. I read them and then I read them in a loop so many times that my sister is very annoyed with me for borrowing her books so many times. And in 9th grade, I keep wanting to know more about the Hunger Games and see more fan art of the Hunger Games. So I go on this little site for fan art called DeviantArt. And on DeviantArt, I find my favorite artist of all time, Birchbug. And Birchbug, now she has a lot of fan art of the Hunger Games, but she also has a lot of fan art of, you guessed it, Percy Jackson. And I see one specific fan art in particular, spoilers for Mark of Athena, so you've been warned. And I see this. I see Percy holding Annabeth and saying that he is never going to let her go, never again. And I'm like, I wonder what could that be from? And I see that it's actually from a book series called Percy Jackson. I'm like, oh, I've watched that movie. I liked it. I thought Logan Lerman was cute. Let me ask my sister if she has the books. She had the books. And the rest is history. So yes, a fan art from an artist who hasn't posted in over a decade of Percy holding Annabeth before falling into Tartarus was the very thing that made me read the Percy Jackson books. It was exam season, December, 9th grade. I picked up The Lightning Thief. I read it in 2 days. So I picked up Sea of Monsters, read it in 2 days. And then you can imagine what happened later. The same thing happened with the 3rd and the 4th book. And I clearly remember going back to Spain for the holidays and reading The Last Olympian while at home, while everyone else was like chatting and socializing. I was just on the couch reading that book, so totally immersed in it. And I remember lying on my bed with my sister on her bed in the same room, and I was like, I have memorized the 3 pages of Percy's confession to Annabeth before the underwater kiss. And she was like, no way. So I just recited them to her line by line, obviously in Spanish because I had read them in Spanish. She was like, oh my God, you are a crazy freak. And I was like, yes, yes I am. The level of fangirl cringe that you reach in middle school and high school is uncomparable to anything else. But it's still like a nice, fun memory. Looking back on it, adding the obsession of reading a new book series to the already existing stress of taking midterm exams probably wasn't the best choice for my mental health at the time. But I guess I was just feeling really anxious about the whole situation and I just needed an escape. Speaking of mental health, thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just need to answer a couple of questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then, you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether that is via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient to you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can change to a different therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you would expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you. More scheduling flexibility and at a much more affordable price. Get 10% of your first month at betterhelp.com/unclaimed. I've also linked them in the description box down below. Thanks once again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this video. So after that, I went back to England and I talked to my friend McKenna and was like, well, I haven't seen that scene yet, you know, the scene where Percy is holding Annabeth, and there's so much fan art of all these other characters called the Seven. I don't know who they are. And she was like, wait a second. She went into her brother's room and came back holding the lost hero, and I was like, what the heck is that? So we opened it and we read the first chapter together and was like, who the heck is this guy called Jason? And there started my obsession with heavily disliking Jason. That's where our history started. So after that, I borrowed her copy of The Lost Hero, went through it in like a couple of days as well. I fell in love with Leo Valtis, and at that cliffhanger of an ending, of course, I had to pick up The Son of Neptune, which I did. I bought my own copy this time and I loved it. And then we went to an American base and there was the Mark of Athena. So I bought it and I read it and I was completely destroyed. I have never wanted to hurl a book out the window so much as with the ending of Mark of Athena. Obviously, you're all thinking, but you already knew this was gonna happen. No, I didn't. I had seen the fan art, but fan art is just fan art, okay? Sometimes people draw fan art of fake scenarios from fanfics or things they just want to happen in the books, and things that aren't actually canon. So I thought it wasn't actually canon. It's just Percy holding Annabeth or Cliff. That could have been anywhere. It didn't say it was Tartarus. So when it happened, I was like, okay. So I forced my friend McKenna, of course, to read them since she had read Percy Jackson as well. And of course, we recreated the falling into Tartarus scene many a times in the playground. So then I think I had to wait like a year for House of Hades to come out. And after that, I was up to date with every single Rick Riordan book because I obviously had already read the King Chronicles and I don't think Magnus Chase was coming out yet. So there I was, back in Spain when Blood of Olympus came out. I experienced all the hype on BookTube for Blood of Olympus. Rick Riordan sent boxes to a lot of booktubers whom I know have not read Percy Jackson, but it's fine. It's fine. Good for them. And each of them got a little clue as to who was going to die in Blood of Olympus, because obviously an oath to keep with a final breath and foes bear arms to the doors of death. Everyone thought someone was dying. Everyone thought someone was staying in Tartarus to close the gates of death. The doors of death, I'm sorry. Obviously, neither Percy nor Annabeth stayed behind in House of Hades, but everyone still thought someone was gonna die, you know? An oath to keep with a final breath obviously meant Leo, who had made an oath to Calypso. And then Blood of Olympus came out. It was highly underwhelming, but at least I had the book community to chat with. That was that. That was the end of the Percy Jackson hype. Magnus Chase came out. I bought it. I loved it. Trials of Apollo came out. Bought it. I liked it. But that's it. I never considered doing anything more. I was just a normal fan who wasn't as much of a fan anymore. I was just like a bystander who just would buy anything that Rick put out in that universe, but I wasn't necessarily loving it. It was never the same experience as with Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Never even like Heroes of Olympus, which was a much more subdued experience, but I still really loved it at the time. And then flash forward to me in college during the pandemic. It's 2020. Coronavirus has ruined every single plan I had for my future before graduating because I was in 4th year of university. Rick announces that he is talking to Disney Plus to adapt Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief and to make it into a TV show. on Disney Plus. So I see that and I go to bed and then I wake up and I'm like, you know what? You know what I can do instead of being bored out of my mind in quarantine? I could start a YouTube channel and I can talk about Percy Jackson. And I made a video of a PowerPoint with a voiceover saying what important things about each character had to be reflected on the TV show. Honestly, I don't stand by most of what I said, but you know, I think it's a bad video. It's a terrible video, but it could be worse. And then wouldn't you know it, we keep getting Percy Jackson news and Percy Jackson casting, which makes my channel gain a lot of subscribers very fast. Obviously, now I'm filming this end of 2022, posting this at 2023. Now, this year is the year of Percy Jackson, so I'm still going to keep making videos, and I hope you guys can still watch them and enjoy them. I hope you enjoyed this video of me talking about the Percy Jackson books and how I got into it. I didn't mention the Sea of Monsters movie. I watched it after reading the 5 books when it came out in theaters, and let me tell you, when I watched it, I was like, okay, this is a worse movie, but honestly, it's more accurate to the books, which looking back on it, it maybe is right up until the ending, because that ending is crazy. They decided to mush the 5 books into a trilogy of movies, which was a terrible idea. As you can tell by there not being a 3rd movie, that's how I got into the books. I found Birchbug fan art on DeviantArt, and I just needed to read them. And thankfully, my sister had all the books. Ever since then, I've made my friend McKenna read them, my friend Brooke read them, my friend Julia read them. I've made my brother Juan read them. I've made my sister Marta keep reading The Heroes of Olympus. I've made my cousin Andres read them. I've made my cousin Pablo read them. And I hope that I've made a lot of people on the internet read them as well, or at least reread them because you found newfound love for the series. And I guess leave a like if you like this video. Comment down below how many times you've read the books and how you got into the Percy Jackson series. Subscribe if you haven't already and click that bell button so you get notifications every time I post a new video. I post videos just like this every single Friday, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye!